Welcome back, friends. Let's have another session, insightful session on collocation analysis. How word partnership reveal identity, intent, and psychological patterns in forensic texts. Friends, so far we have come across to various methods, various analytical patterns that are closely dealing with the words. Here we are having again a very important, I would say, the last chain by which we can analyze how words and their corpus can play a very important role in forensic linguists and how the courtrooms can be benefited out of it. For this, we have to understand that words travel in pairs and those pairs reveal everything about them. The company in which a word appears, that company determines the context in which that word is used. And therefore, I would say today we step into one of the most important and powerful analytical tools, that is collocation analysis. I welcome you back in this session. Friends, these partnerships of the words tells us not just what the text says, but it also tells us how a writer thinks, how they organize meaning, and how they habitually combine the ideas. Collocations help us see these invisible bonds. Let's have a look how collocation analysis works. Firstly, what is collocation analysis? Collocation analysis studies the company that words keep. The idea is very simple. If words repeatedly appear near each other, they likely reflect a writer's habitual thinking. Phrases like deep concern, high chance, final warning, take control, all these emerges not from randomly pursuing thoughts, but through psychological patterns and linguistic habits. Mapping these clusters therefore reveals the stylistic fingerprints. Here I would like to tell you some examples how collocation analysis takes place. Let's take a core idea, a plain statement. Words don't usually appear randomly. That is the first important principle in this regard. They prefer certain neighbors, and those preferences reveal habitual thinking. Let's take example number one, a phrase, make a decision. Now we always say make a decision, we don't say do a decision. So here the word decision naturally travels with the word make a decision. That pairing is collocation. Example number two, meaning changes with the partner. Let's take a comparison. Serious problem and minor problem. Now the word problem is at both the places, but the company or the partner is different. So here it shows the intensity, it shows the condition, and the meaning shifts from major to serious. Let's take third example, revealing various thought patterns. For example, consider the phrases like constant pressure, mental pressure, pressure building. Now here if you see, the repeated pairing of the word pressure along with constant, mental and pressure building shows us the cognitive habit. It shows us that how pressure is building and what is the intensity. It is not accidental, it is a cognitive habit. Fourth, behavioral insight. One person may write that I clearly remember, while the other would say I vaguely remember. So here confidence and certainty, both things can be identified, whether a person is confident enough or not, or whether he is certain or not. All these elements are nothing but collocations. I hope that is made clear to you. Then let's understand why collocations matter in forensic linguistics. Friends, investigators often use the collocations to detect the authorship, identify manipulation tactics, trace the ideological alignments, measure emotional intensity, and expose influence or coaching. Courts often trust the collocation evidence because it is measurable and it is replicable. Any evidence that is easily understandable by the courts or demonstrable before the courts get higher chance of appreciation, and definitely the collocation analysis could be one of them, because collocation also offers quantifiable insights into cognitive and emotional states. Now let's have some of the examples that we followed in our previous sessions as well. Collocation revealing in a staged suicidal note. Consider in a homicidal case in which it is disguised as a suicide, how collocation analysis exposed the anomalies. The note used unnatural pairings like personal decisions completed, which did not appear in the previous writings of the victim. A genuine writing showed emotional collocations like "I'm sorry," "forgive me," "I tried," "no one to blame," "please remember," etc., etc. So this mismatch signals fabrication. Let's take another example, collocation exposing grooming in digital abuse cases. Groomers rely on predictable collocation clusters. "Trust me," "just between us," "don't tell," "feel safe," "you are the one," "you are the special," "listen to me," "nothing to worry," etc. These clusters form behavioral matrix. When these collocations appear repeatedly across chats and platforms, they create a strong indicator of grooming intent and manipulative strategy. Now let's understand how collocations reveal psychological states in threatening communication. Let's understand threat message, which might involve clusters like, when it comes to dominance collocation, the phrases like "you will obey," "I control," etc. In case of urgency collocation, "time is up," "hurry up," "final notice," etc. Fear-inducing collocations like "you will suffer," "mark my words," "remember this," etc. And revenge collocations, "pay back," "it's your turn," etc. So these clusters reflect emotional escalation and psychological instability. Now let's understand collocation analysis in extortion and fraud cases. Extortionists rely on obligation-based collocates. For example, consider these phrases: "must pay," "required amount," "do exactly." Sometimes the fraudsters also prefer the rewards and opportunity collocations. "This is a golden chance," "limited offer," "assured benefits," etc. These collocations reveal the persuasion architecture behind the text. Collocations in court testimony and witness accounts. Let's understand this. Witnesses under trauma often rely on sensory emotion collocations such as "I felt numb," "sudden noise," "sharp fear," "everything froze," etc. These pairings signal authentic recall. Coach testimonies or forged or tutored testimonies may use linguistic collocations like "as per instruction," "stated clearly," "as mentioned earlier," etc., etc., which reveal the external influence rather than natural memory. Let's have a cross-section of Indian multilingual collocation patterns. On account of vibrant linguistic diversity of India, Indian communication produces hybrid collocations such as "scene tight," "full tension," "fix हो गया," "पक्का promise," "लाइट ले ले," "भाई trust कर दे," etc. These reflect cultural psychology, youth social acts, regional influence, and interpersonal norms. In online hate speech or harassment cases, collocation analysis of Hinglish, Hindi plus English, phrases help to uncover group identity, intent, and the target of hostility as well. Now let's understand what are the tools that extract collocation with precision. Friends, tools like Sketch Engine and Conch and Lanxbox, these generate collocations listed based upon frequency, statistical significance, and strength of association. Investigators tend to use measures like MI, mutual information, T-score, and log likelihood to quantify collocation strength. These metrics provide scientific grounding that enhances courtroom acceptance. Let's also have a look how collocation strengthens authorship attribution. We must understand that collocations remain stable across time for a writer. If someone habitually uses the sequences like "in this regard," "kindly revert back," "it is pertinent to note," "in furtherance of this," "in consonance with that," "as discussed," "to that effect," etc., etc., this will appear consistently regardless of topic. Matching collocation patterns between disputed and known documents adds a robust evidence for author identification. Let's also have a look what are the ethical responsibilities in collocation interpretation. Friends, just like any other method of forensic linguistics, collocations must also be interpreted with caution. They indicate probability and not certainty. A high-frequency collocation may be genre or a norm rather than personal trait. Ethical practice demands cross-corpus comparison, contextual understanding, and methodological transparency as well. Ultimately, we must understand that collocations help us to see rhythmic patterns of language that emerge unconsciously without any efforts. They reveal identity, intent, emotional states, and narrative strategy with remarkable clarity. And that takes us to the conclusion that collocations are the pulse of language, steady, repeating, and telling. Thank you very much, friends, for joining in this session. With this video, we conclude week number 10. Now you can hold the mastery over advanced corpus tools that transform text into empirical evidence. In week 11, we move into the ethics, bias, and responsibilities, where power meets accountability in forensic linguistics. Thank you very much.